Hey guys! How are you feeling today? Well, that's good to hear. Today is a beautiful day, right? Are you up for another lesson? I guess you do. For this video, we will all be learning about the top 10 figures of speech. Are you ready? But before anything else, before we formally start our discussion for today, I will be presenting to you our lesson objectives. Kindly read, everyone. At the end of the lesson, 90% of the students should be able to: Number 1. Correctly identify statements that show figures of speech. Number 2. Accurately determine the figures of speech in each statement and appropriately explain it to the class by working collaboratively within groups. Number 3. Create sentences containing figures of speech and appreciate the importance of figures of speech in their lives. That's it! So I hope that you will be with me in today's discussion. Now that we already have our lesson objectives, let's start! Buckle in and get ready your ballpens and notebooks for taking down notes of important terms. In today's video, we will all be going to discuss about figures of speech. What do you mean by figures of speech? A figure of speech is a rhetorical device that achieves a special effect by using words in a distinctive way. You'll probably remember many of these terms for your English classes. Figurative language is often associated with literature and with poetry in particular. Whether we're conscious of it or not, we use figures of speech every day in our own writing and conversations. For example, common expressions such as falling in love, racking our brains, and climbing the ladder of success are all metaphors, the most pervasive figure of all. Likewise, we rely on similes when making explicit comparisons like light as a feather and hyperbole to emphasize a point like I'm starving. Using original figures of speech in our writing is a way to convey meanings in fresh and unexpected ways. They can help our readers understand and stay interested in what we have to say. Though there are hundreds of figures of speech, here we'll focus only on top 10 examples. Are you ready to meet the top 10 figures of speech? Hop on, and I will take you into a colorful ride. Number 1. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of an initial consonant sounds. Alliteration is a term to describe a literary device in which a series of words begin with the same consonant sound. We have here the example. The plantain planter planted plantain in plantain plantations. We can see that the letter P, plantain, planter, planted, plantain, and plantations are constantly repeated in the statement. We have also here the example. She sells seashells by the seashore. We can notice that this statement all begins with the letter S, right? Alliteration is meant to be more than a tongue twister though. It's used to emphasize something important that a writer's speaker would like to express. Number 2. Assonance. Assonance is the identity or similarity in sound between internal vowels in neighboring words. It is used to reinforce the meanings of words or to set the mood. We have here the example. The engineer held a steering to steer the vehicle. In this sentence, the E sound keeps on repeating. We have the engineer, steering, and steer. We have also here another example. How now, brown cow? We noticed the word O sounds like how, now, brown, cow. Now let's proceed to number 3. Hyperbole. An extravagant statement. It is the use of exaggerated terms for the purpose of emphasis or heightened effect. Hyperbole is from a Greek word meaning excess. It is a figure of speech that uses extreme navigation to make a point or to show emphasis. It is the opposite of understatement. An example would be, "That joke is so old. The last time I heard it, I was riding a dinosaur." This statement would probably mean that the joke is so hilarious and old. I mean, he wouldn't be riding a dinosaur upon hearing that joke, right? We have also here another example. "I have a ton of things to do when I get home." Well, the word ton here exaggerates the statements. Ton here means many or a lot. She had a lot of things to do when she gets home. That's it. Now let's proceed to number 4. Irony. Irony is the use of words to convey the opposite of their literal meaning. Also, a statement or situation where the meaning is contradicted by the appearance or presentation of the idea. We have here an example. "She's so beautiful so much that she lost the beauty contest." It is ironic because even though she is the most beautiful candidate in the contest, but still, she was not able to grab the crown. Why is that so? Well, I guess she doesn't have the brains. Number 5. Metaphor. It is an implied comparison between two dissimilar things that have something in common. Here's an example. "He drowned in a sea of grief." In this sentence, grief is so overwhelming that the person feels helpless, like they're being pulled underwater. Number 6. Metonymy. Metonymy is a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is substituted for another with which it is closely associated. Also, it is a rhetorical strategy of describing something indirectly by referring to things around it. We have an example. "That stuffed suit with a briefcase is a poor excuse for a salesman," the manager said angrily. The stuffed suit is being substituted to the poor salesman. This statement would mean that the salesman should not be busy slacking off but instead work hard to not look stuffed in a suit. Number 7. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a use of words that imitate the sounds associated with the objects or actions they refer to. For example, "The clap of thunder went bang and scared my poor dog." The bang here is associated with a clap of thunder. Bang. Number 8. Oxymoron. Oxymoron is a figure of speech in which incongruous or contradictory terms appear side by side. For example, "He popped the jumbo shrimp in his mouth." In this sentence, the jumbo shrimp here is the two contradictory terms that appear side by side. We all know that jumbo is big and the shrimp is small, right? So, jumbo shrimp is the two contradictory terms in this statement. Number 8. Personification. A figure of speech in which an inanimate object or abstraction is endowed with human qualities or abilities. For example, "That kitchen knife will take a bite out of your hand if you don't handle it safely." In this statement, the kitchen knife here is not literally going to take a bite of your hand, right? Taking a bite is a human quality, and kitchen knife can't do that. This statement means that you should handle the knife properly to avoid you from being wounded. Number 10. Simile. A simile is a stated comparison, usually formed with like or as, between two fundamentally dissimilar things that have certain qualities in common. For example, Roberto was white as a sheet after he walked out of the horror movie. In this statement, Roberto is not referred to as white as sheet, but rather, he is as white as sheet because he was so scared of the horror movie, making his face pale and lifeless. So, that's it. That is all about the top 10 figures of speech. Now that everything has been discussed, you are now equipped to answer the following activities. Are you ready? For the collaborative activity, the title of our activity for today would be Figures of Speech Sentence Construction. To measure your level of understanding in the same group, make 2 examples of each of the figures of speech. The 2 groups will be given a sheet of manila paper and a marker to write the answers. Each group will choose their representative to explain their constructed examples using their outputs in the manila paper. Both groups will be given 5 minutes to accomplish the activity. 2 points will be given per correct statement. The group who got the most number of correct statements will be proclaimed as winner. Commending stickers will be given to the one who explained clearly and comprehensively. Now, for the individual activity. Are you ready? For the individual activity, I want you to get a 1 whole sheet of paper and identify the figure of speech present in the following statements. You will be given 5 minutes to answer the 10-item activity. Please answer honestly. Your 5 minutes starts now.
So that's all for today. I hope that you learned something. God bless everyone.